Hey, good morning, everybody. It is May 27th, Tuesday after a holiday weekend here in the United States. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. And so I will ask that question to Rich Ross. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. A lot of just catching up on some stuff around the house, cleaning up, getting stuff ready. We got a graduation party coming up in a couple weeks, so yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah. Um, yeah, for us, we didn't do a whole lot. My daughter's scout troop participated in visiting some local cemeteries and replacing flags on some of the sites that are identified as veterans or clearly memorials to veterans. And where we live in the US, oftentimes these sites can be, depending on which site you visit, you might see World War I, World War II, Civil War veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Just because and that's, so for somebody who grew up in Southern California, that's different because a lot of the communities out there were built and formed in the 1940s and 50s. And sometimes I forget that communities out here were built and formed in the 1640s and 50s. So,
Yes.
it's just different. It's different when you so but that's always been important to me personally. um when I was in scouts myself, our troop used to attend a service every year. And so just being able to be any part in helping out there um is something I appreciate. So
That's pretty
all I am
awesome.
doing is yeah, all I'm doing is making sure my monitoring of the stream is up. So sorry that I'm looking off screen, and it's back up. Okay.
Cool.
Welcome to the Dev Talk Show. We already around 8:15 US time, so going to kind of zoom ahead on some things real quick. People who watched last time saw that we were ending with being stuck on trying to get we were trying to add xUnit um, tests, integration tests, not using the .NET Aspire pattern. Is that the best way to put it? Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Not having to rely on the app host in .NET Aspire.
Yeah, so this is the WebApplicationFactory technique that's been around longer than .NET Aspire, but .NET Aspire's technique isn't necessarily related to APIs. It's about, you want to do integration end-to-end testing, we bring up the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
Let's get
neat though.
everything
I mean,
connected.
they're different, and I still think there's other
Mm-hmm.
different things we can explore. There's some other testing patterns I would like to look at too. So, but last time I was stuck at the very end of it, couldn't get some of the unit tests to run, and they didn't run because the unit tests were failing. They didn't run because the unit test like framework was, or even it wouldn't even compile, or it wouldn't build or something like that.
Right.
So I am able to kind of show what
Show
was
some
wrong.
code.
Yeah, what did I do there? So here was the issue: is if we only would have read if I only would have more closely read integration tests in ASP.NET Core, which I'll make sure to include this in the show notes, as you're scrolling down here, and it talks about how this works using the Web Application Factory, as it talks about right here, and you get to these test app prerequisites, and you get to this part. And this was the part that you didn't see us do because we didn't do it, is it says expose the implicitly defined program class to the test project by doing one of the following.
Okay.
Right. And one of the following is to either go into your CS proj, and this is the application that you're testing, and you say internals visible to, and you include the project.
All right.
The other way, they say, according to this, is make the program class public using a partial class declaration. Now, there is a sample app, and that app has an approach that it uses. This app combines Razor Pages with an API. They use this second approach.
Okay.
I was a little stubborn. I wanted this approach to work. I wanted it to be in the CS project. I didn't really want it to. So, although I'm not sure that it really matters. This got rid of remember the issue we were having where it said the depths JSON file is not found? That was the issue at the end of the last stream. What we probably need is a video where we put this together. Adding this got rid of that compile error where it said can't find the depths.json object. And sure enough, I went and looked and that file now existed in the API project.
Okay.
However, I had a different issue, which is the tests were failing. Well, not failing. They would not compile because it was complaining about the accessibility level. So if we go to a test, an actual test here, let's see, if we go to an actual test, it was complaining that the accessibility level of program was less accessible than this API constructor. Well, that kind of makes sense because if we go to the actual API, we're going to see that this is using top level statements. And if this gets compiled out, it's going to be private static void main.
Right.
For the program class that this is implicitly a part of. That's why they say, hey, what if you just make it public by doing this partial class little addition? So all I'm really saying here is I found I had to do both, despite the fact that this is what this says. I would like to look into this more and find out why does it say one of the following when I found I had to do both. Could there be a little note that could be added here to explain what was I missing? Or I don't know. I don't know. So I might bring this up separately.
Okay.
Once I did that, Test Explorer. Now people are going to say like, oh, but it still failed. Yes, but the key is that it failed for a different reason now. It failed because the test itself failed. The test ran, instead of not being able to compile, the test ran and it was returning a 500 based error instead of the expected 200. I think I know what this is. I think it's because it's an integration test, it's not able to connect out to Cosmos DB and it's blowing up. I think the other tests, this is the Aspire based test, and it was mostly working. 2 of the unit tests worked, but the last one doesn't work because, again, it's complaining that, hold on, I'm not getting the status code I expected. And I actually think this one is because I don't think that my database had that specific value in it.
Yes.
So it's blowing up. And that's a problem we have to solve still, is how do we keep the test consistent from run to run? But I think that'll be a different show. So don't worry, we'll get back to it.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We don't have as long of a show today. So what we were going to look at, although did I accidentally overwrite? I may have. So I'm going to have to go. I didn't overwrite anything bad. I got to go find it now. I had the video up and ready to go so that we wouldn't have to search for it. And unfortunately, I didn't succeed there. But here it is. I don't know if you can hear that.
I'm not hearing anything come across.
You're not hearing anything? Okay.
No. How's your desktop routed? I assume you're using Banana.
I am, but I'm surprised that there might be something I had to say in my settings to include audio output.
So you should be seeing. So when you're doing that, you should be seeing the LEDs on the desktop most likely be active, and you just got to make sure that routes to whatever B or B1, B2, whatever's routing out to the web.
Is that it?
I don't hear it now.
That's not playing anything?
No.
Okay. Not that important. I'll have to figure that out another time. The point of this is not to play what Damian Edwards is saying. And although it's great and everybody should watch this video and it's in the show notes, it's because this, in my opinion, was the biggest .NET news out of Build. And the reason why I say that is because this particular video has 51,000 views.
From 3 days ago.
Yeah. And
that's pretty cool.
It's competing pretty heavily with the Scott Hanselman. If views is the competition with the Scott Hanselman, Stephen Tobe talk.
Yep. Deep dive, which are
it's
awesome.
Sitting in the 50,000 plus scenario where many of the Build videos are still getting watched for the first time by a lot of people because there's hundreds of them.
Right.
So we can just see if I just go to the Build, there's different playlists too. There's different playlists.
Yeah.
And then there's the Build playlist in general. And so it's interesting to say, was it the hit of the show? I don't know. But in order to use it, so here's where this could be very interesting. In order to use this, we need .NET 10 Preview 4.
Do we need to explain a little bit about what the video is?
Sure. Yeah. So the idea, and this, I was kind of hoping. So the idea behind the video is that I'm gonna mute Damian. Sorry, Damian. I'm gonna mute him on my end because you're not hearing me. So this is your standard kind of my first app in the .NET world.
Hello world. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's already been some updates to .NET to make this quote unquote simpler. Top level statement support. You can have one file in your project that doesn't have any of this stuff, and .NET will implicitly include all of the using, the namespace, the class definition, and the main definition, and it will just take the code that you've written and it will say, okay, that must be in main. And that's how it'll compile it. In fact, our minimal API in this project uses that feature.
Yep.
So he talks about that. As I jump ahead, he talks about hey, we have this feature. We have this feature. We create a new project. So because we create a new project, we have a CS proj, and we have Hello World, and that works. Yeah, that works right now. You can go .NET run that, and it works. But if you do that, let's see, does he have something where he shows? I don't know. I was wondering if he has something where he complains about the CS proj file, saying, do people know what that is? So here's the example where he just, all this is a brand new folder that he called A New Hope. I don't know. 4. I'm not 100% sure if he just typed that. And we get to chuckle about it later. This is just a hello CS file. That's all it is. That's it. There, as you can see, there is no XML, no CS proj, no nothing, just a hello CS file. Goes out to the command line and says .NET run hello CS, and here it is. The hello C# runs.
Yep.
So shades of script CS.
Yeah.
Shades of LinkPad type.
Oh yeah.
Ability. I mean, LinkPad, you have to run it in the environment, but LinkPad's extremely popular.
Right.
I think there's plenty of enterprises out there that have enterprise-wide subscriptions to LinkPad. And then here is, and then script CS, I think, was trying to kind of enable the same thing. Man, I can't try to think how old script CS is. I feel like it ran on Framework. I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right. It's been a while since I've.
Yeah.
That does go back a ways. So I'm gonna let you do. I don't know. Questions I have when I see that is, does it compile, or is there?
Oh, what does it really do?
Where, yeah. Right.
So
.NET compiles down to the IL, right? It's interpreted.
Sure. Something. So I think so, but I don't. And here's why I think so. I think so because the compile time performance, which he mea culpa,
Mhm.
it was about so he has the we can only do this without him saying so because of his oh my posh extension here. But it
Right.
shows that the last command took almost 4 seconds, and the immediate words out of his mouth were like, "We are working on the performance, right?" So it's almost like he's saying, yeah, that's not what you're looking for. What would be
Right.
interesting is to see, does it create artifacts, which I suppose I'm not
Like
seeing VS Code's artifacts here, right? I'm not seeing that.
Right, because those would typically be in the bin or the object folder, right?
Right, right. So what I haven't done yet is I haven't even installed .NET 10 preview. So I wanted, because some people might say, like, how do I do it? So we're gonna try it. We're gonna go to the home of .NET, which is dot.net. And on this page here, you can go to .NET 9, .NET 8. I don't need any of that. But up at the top, I've got this little want to try out our latest preview. So I guess I could click that and make that go away, but then I'd be sad. So I'm going to click get .NET 10 preview. And okay, so here's the installer that I want. Let me go ahead and grab. Oh, I guess I could do it through WinGet too. Should we try WinGet?
It's my favorite. And I will say there is an awesome video in there for WinGet, and I will find it. But basically,
can I do WinGet for the preview? I'm saying, oh yes. Yeah, look at that. Oh wait, no. Yeah. If a preview version is available, substitute the version number ID. Okay, so maybe try this. I guess I could just put the version number in too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's try WinGet.
Just do WinGet search.
Is that, and that's like this, right? And then do maybe search that.
Yep.
And then let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so yeah, look at that. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah. Yep. So preview is going to give you, you don't have to specify the version. It's going to give you that one that's there.
I made it smaller just so I could see the columns will be wider when I search again. Not because I don't like the audience. Okay, so it is still, all right. All right, so it's still the same. So I can either do this or I could do this, right?
That's what you need to do is the ID there, yes.
All right, here we go. Here we go, WinGet, and it's doing some stuff.
So you must have had a previous preview, and it's basically saying, I see something that's already named preview, but the version's older. So I'm going to give you the newer one.
Oh, that could be true. I believe that that's possible. You know, in previous lives, I built installers.
I've done it once or twice.
Yeah.
The installing's not the problem. It's the uninstall. It's
the uninstalling. That's so true. If only we could uninstall as well as we install. You know, so much software nowadays is not installing anymore. It's not using the registry. It's not installing COM objects. It's not installing controls. It's putting things into
the GAC
file based, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
It was a different time. So let's make well, that would be awfully confusing if I called it .NET Run. So let's if I called the folder .NET Run, right? I just think it would be confusing. So we're gonna say I often like to do this TDTS preview. Let's do that, and then we'll go into there. Look, I've played that game before. All right, so now if I just say .NET, oh, and let me scroll back in a little bit for people, and I'll clear this screen. If I just say .NET and list SDKs, we're going to see that here are all the SDKs. You know, we haven't done the show yet about getting rid of unsupported versions. I would like to do that. I'd like to use the .NET uninstall tool and get rid of these. That's the only reason I leave them on the system, is so that we can do it one of these days.
So you can do it on the show. There you go.
Yeah. Right. So here we are. We have preview 4, and I'm going to go ahead. I mean, do I even really need to open code at this point? Can I just open Notepad and say,
Oh, wow,
hello.cs? And I can't show you this because it's a modal dialog. Notepad is on my other screen asking me if I want to create a new file. I'm not sure if that's what Notepad did in its olden days, but maybe it did. And so here we are. I'm just in Notepad, and so I will surely get the syntax for this wrong.
Can you zoom in at all in this?
I think so, yeah. Let me type this, and then I should be able to zoom in. In fact, I can use my control. So for people who don't know, I tend to be a control scroll wheel kind of person, and I can do that with Notepad. So the world's largest Hello World program. I think this is the correct. Isn't this the correct? Isn't it Hello World like that? Anybody remember their Kernighan and Ritchie C book?
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I always like geek out on this, and people think it's weird. I actually think this is correct. And and technically that apparently
World with capital because it's a proper.
Well, so I don't have the C programming language book on me, but I insisted on looking up. I don't really want to accept all the cookies. I insisted on looking up the original. So that's just how it was, according to this.
Okay.
1978, folks. Wow. Okay, so here we go. If I just do that, if I do nothing else and do Control S, because right now it's not saved, save it. Now it is saved. Come out here. Is this going to be good enough to just say .NET run hello.cs? And of course, because this is the first time I've run the .NET 10, I got the big old toast. But here it is. And let me run it again just to. Right. So that's it. That's it. That's
beautiful.
Crazy. In fact, I think. I'm not even in code.
No.
Now, I don't know how much. I think there's some other things that I'm going to we might look at here. So I'm going to go ahead and open code, and code's telling me there's an update. We'll say later. I think one of the issues is that the C# dev kit pre-release is required to get some help here. So I'm going to go ahead and click the switch to pre-release version. We'll see what happens there. Let that churn for a little bit. We'll open up our file. Now, questions, right?
Yeah.
This is great, except when you want to do like, I don't know, almost anything else. For example, what if you want to use a NuGet package?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right. And
something as simple as, what is it? System.collections or text.json.
Okay. Yeah. Text.json. I'm trying to think of what's a small, quick sample. His sample was using Humanizer to turn a system.date into the nice syntax of like 4 months ago, 2 months ago. I feel like there's other samples in this world though, because it kind of seems like everybody's using that sample. But I think like his example is that he types like var started, and he uses datetime offset and puts in a date in the past. And so I'm going to put in like, in fact, let's just use the date that's coming out here. And let me get rid of this for now. So it doesn't even really matter to me when that date is. And so what this does is this now gives us a time span, right? Because we've taken the datetime offset and subtracted the datetime offset for right now and subtracted it. And so we'll say, I'm just going to change this to say the times, because I don't I don't think we care about too much about this. And it's saying here the time span since the start date is this, but I don't really want that. And this probably isn't even going to read all that well. But what we're missing though is we haven't actually gotten the package that does this yet. There's a NuGet package that basically makes this readable in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Humanize. Okay. So this isn't going to compile because I need a NuGet package. And the question is like, how well, now what do I do, right? So there's a syntax where you add in the package. And I could put in a specific time, or I could say like, hey, just get me the latest that's major version 2.
So you correct me if I'm wrong, but you tried out some of the notebooks that we used to have.
Interactive, yeah.
Interactive notebooks, yes. Doesn't that syntax seem a little familiar from that?
It's similar, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's exactly the same, I don't remember.
Something. Yeah. And I'm just trying to hook it back to something that, you know, people might know if they played around with the interactive notebooks, and that might be something to at least understand. Well, okay, it has some connection to something I've done in the past.
So now I think that it had to go, oh, it didn't do anything because I did not get this correct. I did not make this an interpolated string.
There you go.
Okay. And I don't necessarily think, okay, so time span does not contain a definition. Here's what I'm wondering now.
You need to do
I don't think you have to do anything.
A restore?
See, that I don't think you do, because doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of it? Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of it if I have to do a restore? You know what I think the problem is, now that I think about it, is I've added the package, but I'm guessing that this is in a namespace, but I don't know what namespace it's in. So I don't know what namespace it's in.
And Humanize is a NuGet package, right?
Yeah, I'm actually just running to their GitHub site real quick to see if they have a sample. They do.
Okay.
I should have been able to guess that. Okay. All right. So they have a sample. Preprocessor directive expected.
I guess, why is the questionizer humanizer, or why is the package humanizer 02?
Oh, wait, look what I did wrong. Look what I did wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, you see that?
Did it out. There you go.
I made it look like a preprocessor directive for some reason because I was so excited, I guess. All right, finally. The time span since the start date is 86 weeks. Okay. So, did that make sense? What just happened there?
Mm-hmm.
Is you run .NET run, and you say that you include a package here, and then you've got to write valid C# code. Imagine that. But there's a lot that I didn't need. Now, you asked a really good question earlier, I think, of does it create anything? And it doesn't, right?
No. That's the interesting part.
So now I'm wondering, if I say .NET run help, I'm wondering, can I Can I set a path? I don't know. This may not be supported. I am totally guessing now.
Right.
But I agree with you that it could be helpful to have, oh, whoops. I guess I got to actually give it a file. I think it would be helpful if you could run this and have it produce an executable, which actually, I'm trying to remember if later in the video he did that or not. So I'm going to feel dumb if he did. But hold on. What I just did there created a bin and an obj. And there's a debug. And I think we're going to wander down this path, right? And there it is, hello.exe. So if I just run hello.exe, then it still does what we want. So you could get to what you wanted, I think. I can see value in that.
It's also really, because I was going the other way. It's like, oh, if you just want this .NET run this file, why do I need all the celebration around the DLL, the exe, the PDB, all of those other things in there, right?
So there's different pros and cons. Like the .NET run hello CS, the scripting is powerful. There's plenty of people in an organization who I think could benefit from this. It could certainly be a path to having all your, you would get the power of the .NET ecosystem in a way that you can also get with other environments like PowerShell, but maybe in a way that's more familiar to you because you might be like you're like, hey, I don't really know PowerShell that well, but I know C# pretty well. But what if you wanted to distribute this to folks that you didn't want to be able to mess with it? Now, granted, you could argue that like, well, then just make it a C# project, right? Like what's the difference? But there's certainly a lot of cruft that went away. You could see having this whole folder of scripty C# files that maybe do things or check things really quick, and they don't need the ceremony of having all these individual projects or anything like that. I mean, I think we're in very early days of this, but
but
I think it's interesting. And so there's more to it than that. Like, for example, we talked about, is it just for making scripty things? Like, I guess it kind of depends on what you want to do with it. But you could certainly, one of the things that he shows off in the video is he builds up the whole minimal API stack and makes a minimal API with it, right? He includes the necessary NuGet packages and everything. I don't know how difficult that is to do quickly now that I think about it. But in order to do that, there's support for another thing in here where in your CS proj, a lot of people may not realize, in your CS proj for an API or even for any executable project, we have this. We have Microsoft.NET .SDK.web. And the .web implicitly brings in a lot of web support that wouldn't be there if you just simply left that off. So the .NET run, this support has a way to declare which project SDK you're using. And that's in the video, right?
Okay.
So, so if you were saying, hey, I want to build a web application, then you go to the very top. And so this may be lost on some folks. I'm trying to think of how the best way to kind of show this here is if I come back to here and we say .NET new, but we list out the different file projects. Oh, whoops, sorry, it wasn't -- I'm sorry, I know it's been deprecated. So we often create web applications. We do that all the time, right? But what if we just
Yeah.
create a console application, .NET new console, and if I say, yeah, that's actually what I wanted to do, is I wanted to output it to someplace. I don't know if console app 1 is in the way, so I'm going to do this. And if we come to console app DDTS and we do a quick code from here, one of the things that we may not notice is that the project SDK is different. It's just Microsoft.NET.SDK.
Because you just build console, yes.
Yeah, and when you build web projects, you're going to see the .web. And I bet you, we don't think, this is the kind of things you just don't think about because it just does it for you. Mm-hmm. What they're saying is if you wanted to use this kind, I'm not trying to tell you I have the use case, but if you decided you wanted to use this kind of you wanted to use this, but you wanted to change the SDK, then you have this directive where you basically say what the SDK is. That was my point. And then you would come in here and you would, we already have a minimal API. So you would come in and you would start building out your minimal API. You'd say web application.create builder, and you could do all the rest of this stuff. I mean, we could probably copy a lot of this in, except of course we're missing some things here, I think. We'd be missing some NuGet packages and things.
Sure. So, but I mean, even if you just took the web application at 6, the build services, maybe the open API at 12, like that first block there, and then from there, even if it just did an app.mapget / hello world.
Oh, would it work?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I think you're probably right. I don't know that I need
you might have to
defaults.
Probably also need to do something at the end to build and set it to the app, right? Yeah, app equals build. Do we want the endpoint piece after that?
What, all of this stuff? I don't know. The open API stuff might be a package. I might be asking for it with this. I'm actually not even sure that I need this.
Okay.
I don't even know if I need to map default endpoints, to be honest with you. But I get what you're saying, is if we come down here and we map
just
something.
Do slash.
And I don't even think we need all of this, right?
Get rid of all that and just return a string of hello world.
Oops.
See, it heard me. There you go.
It did. So we don't need this package.
Mm-mm.
And I think we're saying that this should build, or this should work. Of course,
it should run.
Yeah. I got to get out of here and go to, what did we call this again? And say .NET run hello CS. We won't worry about this stuff. Web application does not contain a definition. Oh, I thought I got rid of that, or did I not? Did I not save it? Oh, no, I didn't. I left this in. So we run that, and
then
closed.
We don't know what post.
Well, it closed.
Did it close?
You know what? We don't have an app.run.
Oh.
So the app did what we wanted, then it said, okay, I guess we're done here. I guess we're done, because app.run puts it in the loop, this loop right here. There it is.
There you go.
So it puts it in this loop.
5000.
I could certainly curl to it. I could, or I could just let it open in a browser. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could also curl to it if I wanted to. That's like really long. I don't need all that.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I think we just need a simple get, right?
Yeah. And I just need to say localhost 5000. I want to say that it was HTTPS. Not that I think I have to prove this out, do I? Because I could also spell localhost correctly, so that it actually resolves. Yeah, look at that.
Hello. Yeah.
So clear it, do it one more time. So this is running, this is running on our system currently right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we can curl to it. Boom. I could open it up in a browser. So yeah, I mean, I guess we got through that, and it's in the demo as well. But that's like the minimalist of minimal
But
APIs there.
If you're doing this kind of a thing where you just want to .NET run a file, that kind of makes sense. It's probably something quick and easy and simple you want to be running, as opposed to something more complex with many different classes and inheritance and all those other kind of things you would typically do in a project.
Yeah. And then the last piece that I actually think was really cool, which I don't know that I'd be able to get right, is the Linux support for this. I mean, I'd have to install the SDK here, right? Because just because I've gone to my WSL instance, the SDK isn't installed in my WSL instance.
Right.
So I'd have to install it. And so I would say, like, go watch the video, right? It's 15 minutes. And I think it's already included in our description today. If not, I'll make sure it is. Or you just search for Damian Edwards .NET Run, and I promise you'll find it. Is in the Linux side. If you make the file executable with a chmod, command, basically, then the hello CS file just runs.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is cool. So there's the reason for making it an executable as opposed to the .NET Run. Okay.
Well, no, you don't need the executable. What I'm saying is that, okay, so here in Windows land, we had to say .NET Run hello CS. Right. What I'm saying is as his demo goes on, he moves over to WSL, but it could be any Linux machine. You got to have .NET Preview 4 of .NET 10 installed. But if you do,
right,
and then you change hello CS to be an executable file, you would just basically say, oh, hello CS, and it just runs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you don't even have to say .NET Run. You don't have to build the artifacts or anything. It just does it.
Wow.
So that is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting little thing that I think, I'm not saying that's the only thing that came out of build, but certainly
I would say far from it, but it seems to be popular.
Right. But it was certainly popular. Like, you're right. It wasn't the only thing. There's so much more to talk about. There's a lot that I have to learn coming out of it. I saw a lot of terminology used that doesn't have meaning to me yet. I mean, it does. It's like a kind of thing where, like, okay, but I feel like we gotta try some things out. I would like to see us, and so just for folks who are thinking about watching next time, we need to update. We said this a couple of days ago. We need to update our project to .NET Aspire 9.3. And what I did not know that .NET Aspire 9.3 includes a GitHub Copilot. I think it's correct to say that it's a GitHub Copilot. It's the same icon.
Yes. I think they're.
Or maybe it's just the Copilot.
And I have to check that. It's definitely GitHub Copilot, but I believe they're calling it Copilot Agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. And so basically you can use it to ask questions about your project, including the logs and errors that are coming out of it. And go, okay. So I will tell you what that leads me to. That leads me to trying to figure out, look, we got to get our project moving. I actually don't think we're that far away. It's just that we've been moving at a little bit of a slower pace, doing some foundation stuff. We want some good tests. I even think we're going to want like a DevOps pipeline, things like that, or a GitHub
Absolutely.
Actions pipeline. It doesn't matter to me which one. But I feel like, okay, an agent could help us build the meetings. So I'm starting, you know how we talked on this show a long time ago about, is there nothing more than chat? Like the samples are all chat. Like, what is there more than chat? And the first one that really caught my attention, which you had brought to the show, was the smart components in Blazor that Steve Sanderson had done, which is like, oh, okay, now I see something cool. Let me cut and paste from another source and you fill the form out for me, and I don't have to get the form right because you're smart enough to fill it out.
Right.
The other one was watching that .NET Aspire dashboard. I was like, oh, we could probably have it help us build and manage the meetings too.
Sure.
So I don't know how yet, but it's a few minutes past 9 here.
Yeah.
If you like the show talking about .NET Run, let me know. You got to get moving.
No. I was going to say one thing I would add that go check out, because I think it was from the day one keynote that Kevin Scott showed, and there are actually a couple of sessions in build related to it, but it's called NL Web, or I think natural language web is kind of what it comes down to. But basically taking this script, pointing it at a website or an RSS feed or something like that, and being able to ingest all of that content to very simply, put a chatbot over top of it. But what's really cool is not only do you put a chatbot over top of it, you actually put an endpoint on it to create your own model context protocol server or MCP server, which now agents can look at and use to be able to understand, use as a tool to understand that content. So let's say we do the meetup stuff, the meeting that we've got here, and those are just events. And there's schema.org for events. So we've got a standard structure for doing it. We can point that same tool at it. And now we've exposed an MCP server across these events that we're creating inside of this new web application without doing anything else. And I think that capability of exposing what's in right now, a locked in website, potentially could be something that now an agent has access to and say, oh, you're interested in events that are going on in the area. Let me go check out this meeting site that's created, and I can give you some of the user group meetings that are kind of happening, in addition to all these other things that it might be aware of.
Okay, so as you pointed out, I have not gotten to finish the keynotes and a lot of this stuff, but I will, because that's interesting. So I have a ton of questions. It was actually kind of. But it's 5 minutes after 9, so I'll save them for next time.
Okay. Yes, we should.
Yeah. A lot of what you said sparked a lot of questions. But you know what? And then again, I'll also see if I can get to finish the keynote and watch some of these.
Cool. So maybe we'll start there on Thursday when we come back.
Yeah, that's right. So anyways, hey, I want to thank everybody who watched today. Thanks for joining us. But got to get moving. So I think that's it. I don't really have much else. Thanks. Let us know what you thought about this. We took a look at a feature. We kind of took a little bit of a detour. I don't know if that was better or worse than going and checking out the 15 minutes, but you should do that. And if you're looking for it, the link is in the description below. So thank you for joining us. For Rich, I'm Chris, and we'll see you all next time on the Dev Talk Show.